This is the Aquinnah Cowl in the lace section. As the pattern's written, you're alternating every other round with your tonal color 2 for all of the even rounds and your variegated color 1 for all of the rounds where you're doing lace. So I just want to show you a couple of tips on this. Once you get going, you'll notice that the repeats are written for efficiency, but there are always 4 knit stitches between the lace sections. So I am currently on a round 3 where I'm ending my repeat with a knit 1. I will then knit 3. Before I repeat the knit 2 together yarn over twice. So most of you are probably familiar with knit 2 together. You're just going to take the 2 stitches on your left hand needle and do your left to right, front to back, and knit them together. And then for your yarn over, as a continental knitter, I just literally put the yarn over the right hand needle and continue on with my next knit 2 together and yarn over. And then I'm going to knit 4 stitches before I do that again. Now what I wanted to show you here is that learning to read your knitting, if that's not something you're familiar with, is very helpful because you can catch mistakes early. So here, what you'll see is that these yarn overs are lining up in a diagonal that's going from the bottom left to the top right. And so, whether I'm using a chart or I'm using written directions, I can catch a mistake earlier. Let's say here, I knit an extra stitch in between. And then I did my knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over. And then I started on my, 4 stitches in between doing that again. Well, if I move my stitches down and I look and I'm reading my knitting, something doesn't look quite right here. And what that is, if you go back and you look at your previous one, again, these are yarn overs, are lining up your lace so that it's going at an angle from the bottom left to the top right. Well, here I go, this does not look quite right. So that's a sign that you could go back and say, what might I have done? Well, I know I had here my knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, and then I should have had 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can say, there is my mistake. I knit 5. So rather than getting all the way around and noticing something didn't come out right with your stitch count, at this point I can just pick back. And to pick back a yarn over, you're just pulling it out. To pick back a knit 2 together, just like a 1 stitch, you'll put it through and undo that stitch. Pop out your working yarn, remove the yarn over, undo your knit 2 together. And here you are where you had the extra stitch. So you would have wanted a yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, and then 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You had 5. Remove that one. And now you're ready once again to correct that with your knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 4, and now you're going to look, and yes, they're lining up correctly. So especially if you're using written directions, that's something that you can still work on learning to read your knitting. And if you are using charted directions, my screen is frozen. Let's see if we can, then what you'll see is just this, where the yarn overs are lining up like I said, and your knit two togethers are beforehand. So looking at the chart can really help you, as well as learning to read your knitting and catching those mistakes early.